Welcome to Knife Thoughts. This video is going to be on this knife, and this is the Buck 110 lightweight, and particularly this is the Walmart exclusive version. So I got this knife a little while back, a few years ago, while on vacation because I flew and got there and didn't have a knife, didn't check a bag, and wanted to have a knife. We were going to be staying in some Airbnbs where I'd want to have a knife to, do food prep, and just wanted to have a knife on me, to be completely honest. And we had to stop at Walmart to get, some supplies, food supplies and stuff. And I saw that they had these for the really surprising price of, I believe, $21. Now, I'm not sure if that's still the price, but $20, $21 for a classic USA made knife, even though it's not in the classic wood and brass, I thought it was a great deal. So I went ahead and got one of these and enjoyed carrying and using it on that trip. Now, since then, I have carried and used it some, but not a whole lot, because to be completely honest, the Buck 110 is a knife that I haven't had the normal version of for a couple reasons. So first of all, I am not huge into locking two-hand open knives. Now, you can put a thumb stud onto the Buck 110 and make it one-hand opening, but it's still two-hand closing. And the reason for that is because once you have this open, this is not like a mid-lock like Spyderco often does and a lot of companies do now. It is a true back lock, or maybe you might even call it a butt lock. The unlocking section here is all the way down at the butt of the knife. So to unlock it, you really have to use two hands, press on that, and then close it with two hands. So it's kind of, it takes away the convenience of a one-hand opening and one-hand closing knife. And at the same time, it is a pretty large knife. I tend to prefer a little bit smaller knives for my two-hand opening knives, especially if they don't have a pocket clip, because without a pocket clip, it's often just going to be sitting in the bottom of your pocket, and it's a pretty big knife to be sitting in the bottom of your pocket. Now, I believe that the 110 normally comes with a belt sheath, belt slip, whatever you want to call it, and I think that this one might have come with a nylon belt slip also, but I didn't really end up using it. The other thing is that this being the lightweight version, so it's made of plastic instead of wood and brass, it is a good bit lighter. The normal Buck 110 is a really big, heavy knife. This one is noticeably lighter, being that it is plastic instead of wood and brass. Now, that said, I get that this is a classic. The Buck 110 is definitely a classic knife. It was, such a popular knife that a lot of times older people, especially if you say a buck knife, they're thinking just any folding pocket knife, or any especially locking folding pocket knife. Or if you say pocket knife, they might even think specifically the Buck 110. So it's kind of a ubiquitous knife among especially kind of old timers, I'll say. And even, where I live, where it's relatively rural, or pretty rural, I guess, a lot of people still carry a Buck 110 rather than having switched to a more modern knife. And it's kind of a good halfway between a traditional that doesn't have a lock and this Great Eastern Cutlery number 21 Bullbuster is a really good kind of comparison. It's not exactly the same pattern, but it's a very similar pattern. You can say they have similar handle shapes, a little bit different blade shape, but there's actually a locking version of the 21. I don't have one, but there's a locking version that's even more similar to the Buck 110. So the Buck 110 is a kind of a good transition from between a slip joint or a normal folding pocket knife and a more modern knife, something like a Spyderco Military, or Military 2 in this particular knife, that is both one-hand opening, one-hand closing, as well as being a larger knife. So I do appreciate that, and people do still carry these, and I think that at $21, if that's what they still are, it's a heck of a deal. You're getting a USA-made knife, you're getting the warranty and service that Buck has, which people, really talk highly of. I don't know that I have ever used it. I may have one time, but people talk really highly of the warranty and service that Buck has. So you're getting that also. And, I think you can't go wrong. $21 for a USA-made knife with a great warranty is really not too bad. Now, as for the construction of this knife, it's really fine. It's not incredible, but it's fine and it's great for $21. There's no forward and back. Well, actually, I didn't recall there being any forward and back, but there's a little bit of lock rock forward and back. But it's not going to unlock probably. There's a tiny little bit of side to side when locked there. But again, this is a riveted handle. It's not going to pull apart like a screwed handle might. Now, when closed, there's definitely some side to side. So you can see that there. But it's easy to open and close with two hands. You know, it does close itself nicely. It has a preference towards closed. The spring pulls it closed, and then it snaps open and locks nicely. Also, the classic clip point blade is nice. I like the hollow grind, and it's a really just a classic looking blade shape in my opinion. And the handle's nice and ergonomic too. It's a nice simple handle. It's a very large handle, so you can definitely get enough purchase. And I think that being that this is so inexpensive, lightweight, and you know, just a classic knife, this would be a good option for, you know, throwing in your console of your car as, you know, a backup, or in your tackle box, or in your hunting backpack. Just a, you know, maybe a work knife, you know, throw in a toolbox, something like that. That way you have a good knife, not an incredible knife, not the world's greatest knife, but a good knife that's made in the USA, that has a lot of history behind it, for a really inexpensive price. So this one is special to me mostly because I got it on that vacation. We had a really fun vacation, really enjoyed it, and so it's sentimental because of that. But it's also a cool knife, and I just wanted to do a quick video on it. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Check out my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife-related topics. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and select all so you know when I post new videos. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.